Beautiful people know true beauty is natural.
Beautiful people know true beauty is natural.
Wear their naturals proudly.
Wear their naturals proudly.
As a symbol of pride and blackness.
As a symbol of pride and blackness.
As a symbol of responsibility to black people.
As a symbol of responsibility to black people.
A responsibility to promote love and unity among black brothers and sisters.
A responsibility to promote love and unity among black brothers and sisters.
And help establish a new order of freedom and dignity.
3, 2, 1. Yeah, so what's going on? So as we were talking about this the situation with the countries that's left that don't have a central bank. What's your opinion on that, man? You know, how you feel about that?
First off, it's always good talking to you because in light of these coronavirus times, it's hard to build with people. Build with people who are about expanding their consciousness. It's actually it's a challenge. It's a challenge to do that. But I always appreciate these discussions.
Same here. It's been a minute too. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a minute. A lot has happened in that short time. You believe it or not, a lot has happened in that short time. Yeah. It's like as though time is really speeding up. Time is really speeding up. Mm-hmm. So anyway, speaking of time speeding up, those two countries, as it relates to the end of the world, and as it relates to World War III, the War of Armageddon, the Malhama, as it's described in the Quran, all of this is the final chess pieces being laid on the world right now. So I don't really have the best seerah in regards to understanding these particular countries. But what I can say is that what's going on right now is that the global order of Yajuj and Majuj is coming to a final head. It's coming to a final head. And because you've been
let me ask you, just to clarify. Who's Yajuj and Majuj?
All right. This is what I wanted to lead into to discuss with you, because I know you.
Hold on. In English, who is Yajuj and Majuj?
Oh, Gog and Magog.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Gog and Magog in the Bible. So in the Bible, their lineages are known. Their lineages are known. So if you really want to break them down, the summary of those lineages are basically Eurasians, Europeans, and Asians. And then and anthropologists, what is it? Anthropologists or geneticists? People who understand genetics. It's probably geneticists. They say that Europeans and Asians are people who have the most Neanderthal blood out of all people, out of all humans. There's different reports about Africans. Some say Africans, the original reports said Africans do not have any Neanderthal blood. Now new reports are saying some Africans do have Neanderthal blood, which makes, of course, perfect sense, because the white man has come in and invaded, Africa for millennia. So, of course, that's not really that far-fetched. But so these two are mentioned. These two tribes are mentioned in the Quran, and in the way that it's mentioned in the Quran is like a paper trail. It's a paper trail that if you really kind of go and follow the path of Dhul Qarnayn, and today is Juma, so this is a topic that we should be reflecting on constantly anyway. Every Juma you should at least be reflecting on this particular topic, because we're supposed to read Surah Al-Kahf every single Friday. So imagine, since the time of Prophet Muhammad SAW until the Day of Judgment, Muslims have been reading Surah Al-Kahf every single Friday for 1441 years. So
allegedly.
It's allegedly everything is alleged, but
right. So when you talk about the scholars discussing Yajuj and Majuj, and if it was discussed, they would just fall completely. Well, is that because Yajuj and Majuj are around today? Like, aren't they locked away in the mountains or something like that?
All right. So Allah knows best. So you know,
Right.
I don't have to do excessive humility and try to be like, you know, well, brother, you know, from what I came across with my research, my understanding, my limited knowledge and understanding is there are two aspects of Yajuj and Majuj. There's a hidden aspect and there's a apparent aspect. The hidden aspect of Yajuj and Majuj are a group of people that exist in the underworld, what they call the underworld. And some people in the past called it Agartha. Agartha is what they call inner earth. The concept the concept of inner earth is where flat earthers and stuff and a lot of those people that's in that type of conspiracy theory world, they talk about, you know, this concept of inner
So
earth.
that's you talking about now. When you talk about Agartha, you going into Antarctica, man. You know that's heavy, right? You know,
Antarctica is the
yeah.
portal. There's other
Right,
portals through other caves throughout the earth,
right,
but
right,
Antarctica is the gigantic portal. It's like the opening
right.
to it. So they've been down there chilling. They've been down there chilling for a long time, like millennia. That's where the vast majority of them are. And you know, running the world. They kind of like giving orders to those above. But they think the people that are above are really like some idiots. So you know, Hitler and his crew, they knew about this because they studied the teachings of Helen Blavatsky. Helen Blavatsky was the basically the 18th century occult or 19th century occultist, you know, the female occultist. She was like the ISIS of the dark arts and for white people, you know. So anyway, she was talking about these 10 portals into the inner earth. And she said that, you know, the Tibetan monks, because she actually studied with Tibetan monks, they actually go into inner earth and visit them. And as a side note, as an interesting thing, I didn't really stumble upon it. I was actually told to go there. Somebody advised me. I went to the Georgia Guidestones and I met this conspiracy theory guy who's like big on Instagram. He was on Joe Rogan show and all this, right? Interesting guy.
Wow.
Me and him had a real deep conversation. I told him the truth about
What's
white
his
people.
name?
His Instagram name is Time to Awake. Yeah,
Okay.
check out his Instagram. His Instagram is basically nothing but like straight facts. It looks like pretty much. You just got to follow the paper trails of everything that he shows.
Time to Awake, right?
Time to Awake. Yeah, TIM. I think it's an E. Yeah, Time to Awake. And he was the first one who kind of put me on to this whole agenda with the real deal with the Epstein situation. You know, and how the real thing that they're trying to do is they're trying to suck the pineal glands of these kids. You know, they call it adrenal clone. And you know, and when you suck from the pineal gland, you extend your life. You know, it's basically you're absorbing more dark energy and you're becoming a more powerful being. You know, and in the movie The Shining, there's a follow up to the movie Shining. What's his name? Doctor Strange. But anyway, it was talking about the people who had the shine throughout the earth. It was a few different people who had the shine. They were mostly little kids. And then just one of them lived to be an older man, and that was the main character. He was the one, Doctor Strange. So the kids with the shine, there was this like dark group of people that used to want to take their shine, suck their shine from them. And if you suck their shine from them, you have to kill them. And the more torture you give to them, the more their shine comes out. You know, so you know that movie was basically symbolism for the pineal gland. You know, and that's what these Epstein occultists, pedophiles were doing. You know, they weren't doing it just for like the sexual gratification. They were doing it for the absorbing of their energy, their pure energy. You know, and we know that basically our access to the Malaika is like open before your puberty. You know, the books are not even, you're not even being accounted for anything that you do. But then after puberty, that's when the Malaika start to write. So it's like once you basically bust a nut as a guy, have a period as a girl.
Hold on, and the Malaika are what, Aki? The Malaika
The
are what?
Malaika are angels.
Okay,
So
all right.
the moment you bust a nut as a guy, as a kid, maybe 13, 14 years old, or have a period as a girl, 9, 10, 11,
Yeah.
that's when it closes. When that opens up down there is when this starts to close up, the third eye, you know, and there's actual research for this, you know, there's actual academic evidence for this, right? So that's why they try to get them while they're young, the fitra, So pedophilia is really the end of this whole LGBTQP agenda. It's an agenda. It's an agenda to go back to the pedophilia that they
Hold
were
up.
at when they were
So
Roman.
question, because
Mhm,
you said P. That
mhm.
P, that's for pansexual, right?
No,
That's for
that's
pan, right?
pedosexual.
Ah, okay. All right.
That's the newest one they're trying to introduce.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the newest one they're trying to introduce. That was that was the agenda the whole time. That's why this whole Epstein situation was really like the the straw that broke the camel's back in regards to their whole order. It's an order. It's a global order. You know. So anyway, how does all that relate back to Yajuj Majuj? So there's one group that is under the earth. Um, America and Russia split up when they went and discovered where the Nazis went. So the Nazis made 3 trips to Antarctica. The first trip was in like 1938. The second trip was like 1942. The third trip was like 1944. 44 was D-Day. That was when basically Nazi Germany went under. They say when the Americans and the British and the Russians and stuff, when they got to what is the main capital of Germany? What's that main capital in Germany?
Frankfurt. Berlin.
Berlin. When they got to Berlin, they said that like 80% of the Nazi elite were gone. So where did they all go? They went to Antarctica. So it took America and Russia a few years to figure out the arrangements as to how they're going to follow the paper trail of where these Nazis went. So they did an operation called Operation High Jump. Operation High Jump is down in Antarctica, and then when they went down there, they went past a point where there's like the point of no return, and there was like a big gap in the geography. And then in there, they found an Earth, like another Earth. His name was Admiral Byrd. The operation is called Operation High Jump. Anybody could look this up. So when he saw that opening, he said UFOs came out and they shot their helicopters out of the sky, or whatever their jets or whatever they had. So majority of their fleet died. It was like about a 60%, something like that. So he came back and told the story. So Americans came back and they kept it a secret from their people, and they started Area 51. The Russians went back and they told the truth about it to their people. So they got Russian documentaries on this and everything. You can look it up on YouTube, where they tell the truth about this whole incident, and that's what caused the Cold War.
The joint that kind of tripped me out was the Russian KGB alien joint, where they
What
talk
was that?
about
That's on
the
YouTube?
Russian. It's the KGB alien files or something like that, where they go over all the races of the aliens. And
Wow.
But you talking about the Antarctica joint? That's Admiral Byrd. Yeah, Admiral Byrd.
Yeah.
And so I know what you're talking about, because the brother Drop Nation, they do a lot of this. They call it flat drop or Antarctica drop, and they go deep into that information. Yeah, go ahead, but keep going.
So that's the other group of them. That's the ones that is hidden. The ones that is out in current are the ones who because there's some that are behind the wall, there's some that have escaped, right? We know that Prophet Muhammad said when he was married to Zainab bin Jash, he said there's a hole this big in the wall of Yajuj and Majuj that was released today in my dream, right? So there was a war that happened that same year that he was married to Zainab bin Jash, because that hadith was, I think, in like the last 2 years of his life. And the war was with the Scythians. So the Scythians are from the genetic lineages of Gog and Magog. They are Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So basically, from them today, you understand that these people are basically essentially all Europeans, and the vast majority of Asians, which is a gigantic portion of the earth. But they're people. They're people of essentially recessive traits. They lack melanin. They have it, but they don't have much of it. I say this is what I say because I'm a product of the Nation of Islam, meaning my forefather, my grandfather came to Islam through the Nation of Islam. I say this: the Aqidah, the fundamental beliefs of Nation of Islam, are extremely corrupt, and they're not something that people should take wisdom from. But their understanding, their comprehension of the nature of the white man has been closer than any other group that has come. No other group has been able to truly break down this nature of these people more than the Nation of Islam. But that's older knowledge now. So now we need somebody that's actually going to be able to revive it to another level and actually explain it from an Islamic perspective with the proper Aqidah. Because the proper Aqidah with an Islamic perspective would say, no, these people aren't devils themselves. They aren't the devil. They're Yajuj and Majuj. And we have historical evidence to prove it. We have symbolically spiritual evidence to prove it. Like, you can explain this thing through allegory. You can explain this thing through, through science, So this thing can be explained so many ways. It's like the paper trail is so clear once you choose to follow it.
All right, so I just went to Encyclopedia Britannica, right? I read it a while back, and matter of fact, there's a book called The 13th Tribe. It's written by a Khazarian Jew, and it's very deep. He goes into the races, and I would add that the races of Yajuj and Majuj are the Turks, the Khazars are the Turks, the Uyghur, however you say it, the Uyghur.
Yeah.
Those people that are the Muslims right now, but they're the Uyghur. And there's one other one. I forgot who the other one is, but it's three of them that's around today that make up the Yajuj and Majuj. But here, let me read this real quick. It says, the biblical passages concerning Gog and Magog become the focus of later exegetes who made repeated attempts to associate them with specific individuals and places. Gog has been identified by modern scholars with Gyges, a 7th century BCE king of Lydia, and with the Akkadian god Gaga. Wow, like Lady Gaga. And, yeah, that's crazy, right? And it has also been argued that the name Magog is derived from the Akkadian word meaning the land of Gyges. In the 1st century CE, the Jewish historian Josephus claimed that Gog and Magog were the Scythians, and in the 5th and 6th centuries, they were held to be the Huns. Wow. Gog and Magog were equated with the Magyars in the 10th century and with the entire Muslim world led by Muhammad and Salahuddin al-Ayyubi in the Middle Ages. In both Jewish and Christian apocalyptic writings and in other works, they were also identified with the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Yeah, that's crazy. So hold up, let me just read this. And one of the most important legends associated with Gog and Magog was that of Alexander's Gate, said to have been built by Alexander the Great to imprison these uncivilized and barbaric people until the end of time. In medieval legends of Antichrist and the last emperor, Gog and Magog were allied with armies of Satan. And in various prophetic texts, Gog and Magog participated in the persecutions led by Antichrist. Preceded Antichrist as a sign of his coming, or emerged following the defeat of the Antichrist in the struggle prior to the Last Judgment. According to Yaakov of Fior, the Calvinist abbot and theologian, Gog is the final Antichrist. In Yaakov's view, come just before the Last Judgment, but only after the defeat of an earlier Antichrist and a period of millennial peace.
Mm. So basically, they're kind of like the forerunners of the Dajjal.
They're the forerunners of the Dajjal, and they're the army of the Dajjal, and they might even have one of the Antichrists, because there's 30,
Yeah,
so there might even be one of the Antichrists from Yajuj and Majuj.
that makes sense. So basically, the Dajjal might come from them. It would make the most
Well,
sense.
they precede him and they come after him. Like they fight with him, and they come out before him, meaning that when you see them, the Antichrist is coming, and then it says that they'll come after.
Yeah, they're the forerunners. They're the forerunners of the Dajjal, and they're the ones who come after. So it's like, they're before and after. Before, as an order, they're probably the Masons. Out of, but there's different names. Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. The 13 families. You know, Bilderbergs. All of those like occultic organizations that operate. These are all from the branches of those like of their groups. They have many different groups. So it's like an agenda. I think it was written out. And the thing that they all have in common, and this is where a lot of like Black Kemetic people don't really understand, is that, yeah, if you claim that it comes from us, this Kemetic knowledge, which it does, that means that we're the first people to really propagate. Yeah, that means we're really like the first people to kind of propagate this the Jalak concept, the rebirth of Horus. The ancient Kemetic people were people that were either trying to bring about Horus again, or they were like in direct communication with like that jinn or something. I don't know who he is. I don't know who Horus is, but I know that Horus is essentially the Dajjal, right? He's essentially the
Well,
Dajjal.
this is the thing. This is when I talk to you about Thoth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? When you talk about Egypt and you talk about Kemet, those people were in direct connection with Thoth. Like that.
Elohim, yeah.
So it's all tied in. However, you can't say like us per se, because you got to be able to delineate, or you got to be able to separate who the people are, because the tribes of Israel they were enslaved by the Egyptians.
Correct.
They were enslaved by the Babylonians.
Yeah.
And then, even today, you got people who have found that Assyria and Egypt was in America. So when you go to these places and then you find that the certain people were enslaved in those places too. I mean, it all lines up. So what I've found myself to do is step back from saying that everything that I read is correct and just start to investigate. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you got to be able to investigate. Like when all right, so we have Quran and we have Hadith, but we also have other books that nobody touches on or even challenges. From Islamic perspective, people just say don't read that because it's not from Islamic sources. But you don't have any scholars delving into that and debating it, or saying what is correct and what isn't correct.
Listen,
then,
there's been a dumbing down of Islamic knowledge.
Yeah, but they only touch on certain topics from within the Islamic sources. You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
So
that's correct.
That leaves, like for me right now, I can't find any Muslim scholar to talk about this Thoth thing. Nobody can address this Enoch thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that's the crux. You can't address this Enoch thing.
Listen, I think the reason why though is because that is a gigantic world. It's a gigantic world. If you really,
It's everything.
in order to really understand Idris, right, and everything that is associated with him, then you really have to delve into the world of the occult, and you don't come out of that world with your mind the same. So it requires a intensive investigation, and what Islamic program is designed to give that intensive investigation. I studied the curriculums of Qura, Jami'a Islamiyya, Islamic University in Medina, and Qura. I don't even know how to say Qura. I guess that's how you say it in English. In Mecca. But when I was in Saudi, I was investigating their
Qura. Qura.
Yeah, Qura. I was trying to translate it for anybody. I don't know how to even translate that. Yeah, but anyway, the university in Mecca, the one in Medina, and the one in Riyadh, and I was like trying to see what do they teach. And Mecca actually had the most out of the box curriculum from what I noticed. But anyway, Saudi is not the answer in regards to Islamic authority. I think I'm not going to say they lost it, because I don't see anybody else that's really capable of stepping up to take the mantle, but they're not. It definitely has been a dumbing down process, and I think the dumbing down process in Auntie Lawrence and stuff, these secretive relationships that they had with Yajuj and Majuj. So, I mean,
Lawrence, you got to read, when you bring up T. Lawrence, you got to read Seven Pillars, yo. Seven Pillars. Yeah, that's his book.
I've never read that.
That's a new book. Yeah, you got to read it, yo. It tells you who the Arabs were before he came out here, and dude was sweet body too. You know what I'm saying? So he was sweet body, and he had this like revelation of being raped by one of the Turkish leaders. But when you read deep into it, it says that it's a lie. But he said that, but the way he described it from start to finish. You know what I'm saying? How the Turkish general, basically brought him in and raped him. You know what I'm saying? And was like on some sadistic stuff. He was describing the dude as a sadist. Marquis de Sade, he started the sadist movement and everything like that. So it just tells you, what kind of people these were. So that's why, even though
I don't find that far-fetched though.
But listen, even though being Muslim, we have to understand, like, this is why I don't separate. I don't separate the understanding with the people. See, yeah, they may have been Muslim, but who did we just say were Gog and Magog? The Turks.
Yep.
So who was the Ottoman Empire? Who's the Ottoman Empire? The Turks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So you have
who just basically opened up the door for Israel to take over Al-Aqsa, the Turks.
Exactly. So this is a plan, and then the Muslims are so freaking blind that they don't want to accept the facts. Oh no, Gog and Magog is still trapped away. They're not out. But the hadith is right there where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there was a little hole and they've been open. He said, "Woe to the Arabs! The hole has been Gog and Magog have made a hole." You know what I'm saying? This is the hadith. So now we have the Ottoman Empire, and Muslims are just so blinded by all of the buildings that they built and all the time that they ruled. They have no idea that these people were doing some of the most foulest things out there.
Yeah. I mean, then they have little harem, what they call them? Harem.
Harems, come. Yo, listen, man.
Those are just like sex chambers.
Yo, man. Even when you look at slavery, you had during that period, the Arabs or the Muslims, they had white slaves and they had black slaves. You know what I'm saying? The black slaves that were eunuchs, they would make them eunuchs. They would make both of them, white and black. They would make them eunuchs. But the black ones were more expensive. They were eunuchs. But the white ones could excel to leadership. The black ones could not. You know what I'm saying? So this is literally a change. This is a power change. because and they're just, you know, everybody had their own place. Like the blacks would be for guarding or you know, assisting people, but the white Turks, even though they were not as valued, they would be able to excel to leadership. So when you look at football, you look at American football, you have a quarterback who, you know, he comes up in the system, white or black, and he doesn't pan out in the NFL. He goes back to his alma mater, and then he gets a job. But who do you see getting these jobs and becoming coaches? White boys all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it's the same system, and we
yeah.
just don't see it. We're so blinded by, you know, the joy of being Muslim and being brothers. But then you go into the brotherhood, and this whole thing is a, like you just mentioned earlier, esoteric and all that. It's an esoteric thing. It's occultism, because
Correct,
out of the brotherhood you have the Muslim brotherhood, and
correct.
that's not the Sunnah. That's not the Sunnah. That's some secret society stuff.
That's
You see what I'm
Messianic
saying?
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So, and it's out of Egypt and you know, and so on and so forth. So this is a issue where we don't understand Yajuj and Majuj
No.
and their and where they are in the world, because we still, as Muslims, we still think that Yajuj and Majuj is locked away. But
Correct.
I tell you, you gotta. This is why, for me, it's very, very important to learn about, you know, Bani Israel and the roots and all that stuff. And I have no shame in talking about it and saying what I'm about, because I started reading about the tribe of Dan.
Mm,
All of the tribes given land except the tribe of Dan. So the tribe of Dan went up north. Now you were in Saudi.
mm.
They went to a city called Laish. Like,
Where is that?
why? Laish? Laish.
Lesh.
Yeah, Laish. They went
Lesh.
to a city
Hey,
called
hey.
Laish. Exactly, right? So they went to a city called Laish, right? And then they just kept traveling. Yo, they
Mm,
kept traveling until they went to Europe. And
mm,
who did they come in contact with? The Scythians. They
mm,
got, so for a minute they were like, the tribe of Dan was jammed up for a minute with the Scythians, but then they got
mm.
out of that. They kept going. They went all the way to Scandinavia. So listen,
Whoa.
you know where the tribe of Dan was, because everywhere they went, they put down a sign. The Most High told them to put up signs on the road, like street signs. Yo, this is written.
What?
The Most High told to put up street signs. So you got the Danube in France. You got
Mm,
Scandinavia. You got, so Din, D-I-N, that's Dan. D-E-N, that's Dan. D-A-N is Dan.
mhm.
So everything with these, like these three letters, that's the tribe of Dan, yo.
Wow.
So I can send you the book too. I can send it to you because I got it in
What
script
about
in the little.
Eden? The Garden of Eden.
Maybe. Well, I wouldn't. I don't know about Eden, because now I got some drop for you on that. The Garden of Eden, arguably, is Mount Rarema.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yo, that's what I was telling you. That's what I was talking about on my Facebook post with Chief Keef.
That don't make you solid.